a game development studio here in Stockholm called Neat Corporation. We are actually in Gamla Stan here in Stockholm. We've been working with VR for almost a year now. When we started working with VR, it was pretty much only us in Stockholm, I think. So it's really great to see so many people who are now engaged in VR and people know what it is. When we started, we thought we were all crazy and this was not going well. This is our team. This is the whole company. We're just 4 people. And we have been working on our game Budget Cuts, which is a spy game for the HTC Vive. If you want to try it, you can download it on Steam. There's a free demo. And we're going to be finished in a few months. But that's not what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to be talking about the difference between storytelling and interaction in 2D and VR, about what the difference is between flat media and virtual reality, a few things you can keep in mind while you're dreaming up your VR projects. But first of all, what is flat media anyway? So when I talk about flat media, I mean screens, or really anywhere where the audience is over here and you are watching something happen over here. It could also be a play where you sit in a fixed position and you are watching a story over there. So on the other hand, we have virtual reality, where you are inside the experience. It doesn't matter if it's a movie or a game, because it's just such a completely different thing to be inside the story instead of watching it from far away. So I like making lists, so I'll make a few points here about the differences. As we've already heard, in ordinary media, you are in a static position. You are always sat watching something happening in front of you, while in virtual reality, you have a dynamic spectator position with a 360 view, or the person can choose to be seated or standing or moving, which makes a big difference, because when you shoot a movie, if you are shooting a movie from up here, and you're expecting a person to stand and watch it, it feels really strange if you're watching it when you sit down, because then you're super tall, or the other way around. On flat screens, you typically have edges to anchor information to. Maybe this is a bigger problem in video games where we have heads-up displays, for example, which is really difficult to do in VR, because there is no natural anchor point. For you, maybe it's more interesting with, for example, subtitles. Where do you place them? If you have them on a screen, you want to tilt your head down and read the subtitles. But if you fix them on the screen in the movie and you want to tilt your head down, it's kind of like keep dropping or sort of moving away from you. In flat media, you have a very high level of control over the viewed content. You can do close-ups, you can view something from far away or move the camera, and you know exactly what the audience is going to be looking at. But in VR, you need to guide the participants' attention all the time and make sure that they are really looking at what they are supposed to look at. You can do this with sound, obviously, and movement and light, but people are looking around all the time, so it's very easy to miss things. Flat media is also very easy to storyboard. That's a very practical thing, because when you have the screen, you can obviously just draw a rectangle and you know exactly what's going to be on the screen. But in virtual reality, storyboards now need all angles, and you need a preferred angle which shows approximately what the audience should be looking at. And there are no standards for storyboards in VR yet. These are a few different variations on storyboards that people have made. I'm not sure which one works best. I've been trying all kinds of approaches as well. But I think this one is probably closest to what's easy to work with. I was gonna point on the screen here, but it's kind of too big for me. But you can see the audience, the viewer is in the middle, and the lighter cone showing what you should be looking at, this preferred angle. But you can't just think about what's going to be there, because this person will probably look behind them as well, quite often. So you need to fill the storyboard behind the person as well. I wanted to have a lot of time for questions, since I am from the video game industry, and I think most of you are working in film.
That's very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So now you have one of the world's best game designers here, so ask away. Where do we have a question? Here.
It's not really a question. My experience has been to, I must quote Jessica Brillhart from Google, working especially with VR, and to look at a normal, traditional two-dimensional cinema with a screen. You are like a passive visitor,
Yes.
and a viewer. But the last 3-4 months I've been producing VR and changing that to look at the visitor and the viewer as a visitor.
Mm-hmm.
And that has made our productions much easier. As a visitor, I can really experience and try to find elevated contextual environments and tools that can really make the experience much more interesting and worthwhile.
That's really an interesting sort of shift in the creative perspective.
Yes, that's an excellent point.
Yes.
Especially when if you're creating a scenario where you are not considering that the person who's watching it is going to feel like they are participating in the scenario. So when something is happening, you feel like you're actually there. If you watch something horrible happen while you are watching it on the TV, you're sort of distanced from it, but while you're watching it in VR, it's going to feel horrible. Like, why can't I do something? This is happening right next to me.
Any more questions? They are just stunned. Oh, here we have one. Yes?
Yes, hello, hi. I'm a composer, film composer. I have no experience from VR whatsoever, but I'm very curious to know how you use music as far as where you put it, like in the mix, in the sound. How do you mix it with the music?
Well, since I work in video games, it's a bit special, I guess, because in our game there's this ambient music when you play, and our game is a spy game. You can get spotted by robots who are out to kill you. So when a robot sees you, you fade into this more dramatic music, for example. And then you have other audio in the game, like radio, for example. And since we're building a world that you move around in. Did I answer your question at all?
I'd like to ask you actually about viewer point of view, and where do you think, because I mean within gaming we've seen a lot of first-person shooters, and there's actually a film you can see on YouTube which is called, I think, Honest N. Henry, which is sort of a comedy live action 3D version of a first-person shooter with this horrendous British guy. It's quite funny, and sort of experience or experimenting if that works on live action as well. But what do you think when it's more content-driven? Will we see the first-person point of view, or will I be Batman? Will I be Robin following Batman, or will I just sit back and watch? What do you think, coming to the more drama side?
I think if you were Batman and you were watching from Batman's eyes, you would have a lot of motion in the movie, so you're probably gonna get motion sick very fast. So that's a problem for cinema. Yeah, let's say. Yes.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Annika. I wanted to know if you have any suggestions for how to direct a person's attention. If you know, like, have you found good ways or bad ways to do that?
I think light is a very good way to direct attention, so that you know from the beginning approximately where you're gonna look. So you have like, okay, I know that most of the action is gonna happen over here. And maybe if something is happening over here, you use audio to make them turn around, and then you sort of light up.
Okay, so sound and audio together.
Yes.
You can stretch the mic behind you.
How difficult is it around this time to make money on VR games versus making a video? You don't know perhaps, but
I would say that it's different depending on which platform you are developing for.
which one is best now, you think?
I would say mobile is easiest to start if you want a steady revenue stream.
But mobile VR?
Yes, yes. Daydream, for example. Yeah.
Okay, like putting two mobile phones on your face, or what?
Have you tried the Google Cardboard?
No.
Okay. Have you tried Samsung Gear VR? There are a few different headsets for virtual reality for mobile, and that has the widest spread right now.
Thanks.
Yes.
And when I tried to ask this question, I didn't actually ask Xuefei, but when I meet with VR people, and that is, when is the VR headset going to be the Christmas present of the year?
Maybe.
Meaning, I mean, when it really is out there in everybody's hands, more or less.
I think when there is a relatively cheap mid-core headset, like the Daydream, for example, then I think most people are gonna have a VR headset.
Thank you so much.
We have one question.
Oh, we have one more question. I'm running. Last question here. And you were over there. Oh, sorry. Hop, 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 hop. This is actually very good cinema for running around like this.
So I have a question about sound design. Do you use contextual binaural sound in your game design in order to direct the viewer, or do you assume that the viewer is at the moment looking at something and placing the audio?
No, we are not using true binaural sound, I'd say, but we're using 3D sound.
And that sound engine, would that be applicable also for sound for post-production? And if so, what kind of process is that?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Thank you. Give Jenny a big hand.